Hey everybody, welcome to the FacDev Lounge podcast. It's your faculty development podcast to bring issues to the table that affect us all. This is a short podcast for you today. It's the middle of January. It's cold. It's actually Inauguration Day in the US, but it's also day 2 of our zone in New Brunswick going to the red phase. And it's a week after we had news about a colleague in Quebec who committed suicide. So we're doing this podcast today as a brief outreach to have the conversation, to start the conversation. There's no guest today, just information for you in case you're not okay, and a message to say that it's okay to not be okay. So our friend and colleague in Quebec was 35 years old. She had a 7-year-old son. She had a husband. She was an emerge doc. Interestingly, she actually had a Facebook page that was set up to have resilience as a community trying to go through the COVID pandemic and the trauma and difficult decisions and stress that go into that. You know, as a department head myself and as a frontline clinician, it's really hard, you know, when you get messages that hospital capacities, just-in-time protocols are added to our workload, where we already feel a lot of helplessness and hopelessness to help our patients with limited resources, sometimes even limited understanding of accessibility of things like PPE to keep ourselves and our families safe. As a pediatrician who does a lot of mental health, you know, listening to people day in and day out talk about how things aren't going well, but knowing that the resources that help them are largely shut down as well, starts to really contribute to that sense of, you know, are we making an impact? Are we doing any positive things for our patients? And I guess I wanted it to be helpful to maybe offer that listening and reaching out is impactful and does affect change and is something that our patients appreciate. We can decide that is impactful and that is helpful, and that being a community together does mean that we'll get through this, and decide that being in the red phase is progress, because it means that hopefully it'll flip the difference for us to be able to move forward in the spring. One question that I try to ask to my colleagues and to my group here in St. John is, have you taken any time off? And I'm so shocked to hear that, you know, the same answers again and again. No, where am I going to go? What's the point? I'll save my time off for a time when I can do something, go somewhere. But, you know, vacation and time and rest and restoration is so important for us to be able to provide and serve the way we do. So the pandemic has really challenged us in so many ways. It's forced us out of our community connection in ways that are very isolating and damaging at times. And so when we know someone is lonely, sad, or struggling, we should try to move towards them, even though it feels like a lot. What could we do? We're used to bringing people food or flowers. You know, somebody passes away, or somebody has a hard day, or loses their job, or something happens. What do? We feed them. That's what we do. We bring them something. And so how do we do that in a new way on Zoom? I think looking forward to things is so important. It feels backwards, but I think we're doing the best we can in some approximation of normal. So this podcast is an outreach to you, my friends and colleagues, with a sincere prayer and hope that I don't hear of anything happening to our people close at home, and knowing that there are resources out there, and that at any time, you know, the New Brunswick Medical Society has a tailored program for wellness. I actually interviewed Megan Sibbett on our podcast here, and you could hear more about that. And while that isn't a 24/7 service, she's not crisis management, we definitely have that counseling solution. We have a peer support program through NBMS. And then any family doctor or mental health professional, or really just other colleague, largely in our community, would be open to anyone calling and reaching for help. Of course, there's the emergency department, and we're the type of people that, you know, you can call the on-call person, right? And if the on-call mental health person is calling you back and you're saying, I need help, then we're the type of community that I think that really supports each other and reaches out. There is a crisis line. There's 1-800-667-5005, which is the province-wide crisis line. And I guess I just would hope that reaching out to family, friends, or colleagues is something that would happen before we have a loss. So it is very hard. It's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to reach out and ask for help. And I hope this podcast finds you okay. But if you're not, that's okay. Thank you for listening to the Fact Dev Lounge podcast. Please leave us a review on iTunes, YouTube, or SoundCloud, and even a comment on some ideas for future podcasts. Thank you very much and have a great day.